Hello, you're watching News 9 Live. We're going to focus on two very important pieces of news coming in right now. The Delhi police has agreed to register an FIR against Brij Bhushan Singh in the sexual harassment case registered by top women wrestlers of the country. The Delhi police has informed the Supreme Court, and I quote, "We will be registering an FIR by the end of today." Close call. This is big news considering there is a lot of controversy around it, and of course, it's about the rights of women, particularly sportswomen in this country. Joining me on the debate is my colleague, Pankaj Mishra. Pankaj, this has been going on and a lot of questions were, raised. They also said, I'm sure it's part of the process, Pankaj, why is it that a prelim inquiry had to be conducted? Because see, it's a sexual harassment case.
Right, absolutely.
So I'm asking that why is it that the mandatory preliminary inquiry has to be conducted before the FIR will be registered?
Well, yes, Sudha, at least that's what the government had also said, and Delhi police wanted initially, to go for the preliminary inquiry. But as we speak, the court is also, Supreme Court is also hearing the matters of the wrestlers for which they had sought, and following which Delhi police has just mentioned that they would be filing the FIR by evening. So immediate fallout hasn't been the FIR. They are saying that yes, we will do it. As far as Tushar Mehta's point of view was also concerned a couple of days ago, he was also fighting or presenting the facts on the same basis that it had some time must be given before the FIR is filed. But Supreme Court had taken the view, was of the view that the delay part is something that is worrisome, and the wrestlers, their demand at least should be met of filing an FIR.
Pankaj, I'm just thinking that these are women wrestlers who've got you medals. So they are not the usual people like us, they are celebrities who bring pride to this country. If they had to sit in Jantar Mantar since last weekend, if I'm not wrong, protesting, so obviously, I do not know, maybe there was more than met the eye, as in, it seems like, keep waiting, abhi karte, that kind of a thing, which I think has sent out, maybe, with respect to all the authorities, a wrong message, Pankaj.
Well, indeed, that's one reference, Sudha, that most of the people like you and me, common people would also draw, that for them who have brought laurels to the country from international stage, especially in sporting arena, them not being heard is something which comes as a surprise. Secondly, the wrestlers also this time around pointed to the fact that why don't you make our submissions public to the committee which was formed earlier when they had sat on protest earlier, which was the committee which was headed by MC Mary Com. So that aspect also, they were saying...
That's not been made public, right?
That's not been made public.
Very strange now.
And their demand is that we have given enough proof in that, so why don't you make that public? Because the primary issue that police has is that not enough evidence has been given in this case of claims of sexual assault. So why should the police in the very first step register an FIR unless there is a proper probe in it? But the wrestlers on the other hand said that we have given enough evidence to you in the MC Mary Com report. Why don't you go through that? So whole tussle is going around that particular report. But now, as many would say, Delhi police has blinked, and by evening, they say the FIR would be launched.
Which is good news, although there has been a lot of, all-round criticism also. PT Usha, very surprised, iconic.
Absolutely.
Again, a woman athlete who put India on the world map, and she also being the chief of Indian Olympic Association, to say that why are they sitting on the streets and bringing bad name to the nation? They should have waited for the committee or whatever. What do you think, Pankaj? I think sometimes this official red tapeism is more important than standing in support of young sports women.
Well, I
it's not a gender issue, because you also stand in support. You were saying in the newsroom, it's not about gender.
No, not at all, not at all. It's not about gender. Once again, be it anyone at the helm of any sporting body, and especially if you are a sports person, sportsman or sportswoman, you and I, the person knows that it's not easy to, carve a sports person out of you, and that too of an international stature. So if these ladies and gentlemen are claiming of some misdeeds that have happened, they, the last thing that would be there on their mind is to bring shame to the country or, bad name to the country, because they are the ones who in the very first place brought laurels to the country.
They wear the badge, Pankaj. They wear the badge on your behalf, on my behalf.
Absolutely.
Also, but a lot of, support also from Abhinav Bindra, for instance, yet another icon. and also from Shashi Tharoor, I mean, who
Yes.
stood up and actually berated PT Usha, both belonging to Kerala.
Yeah, absolutely. But now the sporting fraternity is responding to it, and we saw it yesterday as well when some of the wrestlers did claim that they mentioned cricketers, but obviously the sporting fraternity now has responded favorably, in their favor. The best part, Sudha, here is that sooner or later, I mean, at least if they are able to generate this kind of support or a question or a look within, that is what is most important. That on one side you have your top sports person sitting on protest, on the other, the story is totally different.
Right. I think we'll wait when the FIR is actually kind of,
Absolutely.
registered. As of now, thank you very much, Pankaj Misra, for joining us on the broadcast. And now for the other main news that we are tracking at this hour. Now on 13th of May, the people of Karnataka would have spoken. The issues they voted on and the party they felt delivered on the promises. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, for instance, asked Karnataka voters to vote for the BJP, which he said was essential for smooth governance, which can only be provided by a double-engine government, or like they say, double-engine ki sarkar. Corruption is, of course, yet another point that Modi focused on and urged voters to vote for the party that would guarantee freedom from corruption of all types. These are issues that are essential during any election, as you and I know. But then, do they matter when a voter goes to vote? According to the survey conducted by TV9 Kannada and See Voter, many myths may be actually exploded in Karnataka during this election.
विकास की डबल रफ्तार बीते 9 वर्षों का देश का अनुभव रहा है कि जहां जहां बीजेपी की डबल इंजन सरकार है, वहां वहां गरीब कल्याण की योजनाएं तेजी से जमीन पर उतरी है। हर घर जल योजना में कर्नाटका देश के अग्रणी राज्यों में है, क्योंकि यहां भी भाजपा सरकार है, वहां भी भाजपा सरकार है। इसलिए संभव हो पा रहा है क्योंकि यहां डबल इंजन सरकार है। आपको मैं बताऊं, जो राज्यों में भाजपा सरकार नहीं है, लोकतंत्र में स्वाभाविक है, लेकिन करते क्या है, केंद्र सरकार की कोई भी योजना उनके यहां सफल न हो, उनको डर लगता है कि अगर सफल हो गई तो मोदी का जय जयकार हो जाएगा। कुछ लोग तो योजना से जुड़ते ही नहीं है। कुछ राज्य ऐसे हैं, वो योजना का नाम बदल देते हैं, स्टिकर नया लगा देते हैं। देश में एक बात आप हैरान हो जाएंगे, गरीबों को अनाज देने के लिए 1 नेशन 1 राशन कार्ड सुप्रीम कोर्ट को हुक्म करना पड़ा। क्यों? क्योंकि डबल इंजन सरकार उस राज्य में नहीं थी। देखिए, पीएम किसान सम्मान निधि में यहां कर्नाटका सरकार 4,000 रुपये अपनी तरफ से भी जोड़ रही है। भारत सरकार 6,000 रुपये दे रही है, राज्य सरकार 4,000 रुपये, दोनों भाजपा की सरकार। किसान को क्या मिल रहा है? 10,000 रुपये मिल रहा है। तो हुआ नहीं डबल लाभ। आप देख रहे हैं कि बीते 9 वर्षों में भारत दुनिया भर के निवेशकों के लिए महत्वपूर्ण केंद्र बना है। रिकॉर्ड निवेश भारत में हो रहा है। डबल इंजन सरकार के कारण इसका बहुत बड़ा लाभ कर्नाटका को मिला है। अगर यहां ऐसी सरकार आएगी जो बात बात पर केंद्र सरकार से लड़ती रहेगी, योजनाओं को रोकती रहेगी, जनता जनार्दन का जो भी हो जाए उनकी राजनीति चलते रहे, अगर यही हुआ तो सारे इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के प्रोजेक्ट्स को वो लटकाती रहेगी। हम रोड बना चाहेंगे, वो जमीन संपादन का काम ही धीरे धीरे करेंगे। तो कैसे निवेश आएगा? निवेश नहीं आएगा तो कर्नाटका में नए रोजगार कैसे बन पाएंगे? यानी डबल इंजन की सरकार का न रहने पर जनता पर डबल मार पड़ती है। और आप देखिए, आप सामान्य नागरिक से बात करते ये भी बता सकते हैं कि देखो भाई, ट्रैक्टर है, हम बहुत बढ़िया काम करता है, लेकिन ट्रैक्टर का एक पहिया आप मारुति कार का लगा दें तो बताइए वो ट्रैक्टर चलेगा क्या? किसी हमारे देश में कुछ राजनीतिक दलों ने राजनीति को सिर्फ सत्ता और भ्रष्टाचार का साधन बना दिया। इसको हासिल करने के लिए वो साम दाम दंड भेद हर तरह का तरीका अपना रहे हैं। इन राजनीतिक दलों को देश के भविष्य की, आने वाली पीढ़ियों की, मेरे कर्नाटका के बच्चों की, मेरे कर्नाटका के नौजवानों की, मेरे कर्नाटका की नौजवान बेटियों की, उनको कोई चिंता नहीं है। मुफ्त की रेवड़ी की राजनीति की वजह से कई राज्य इतना बेतहासा खर्च अपनी दलगत राजनीति की भलाई के लिए कर रहे हैं, राज्य कर्ज में डूबते चले जा रहे हैं और आने वाली पीढ़ियों का भी वो खा जा रहे हैं। देश ऐसे नहीं चलता, सरकार ऐसे नहीं चलती। हिमाचल के लोग, अभी अभी चुनाव हुआ है ना, 1 साल हो गया, हिमाचल के लोग आज तक कांग्रेस की गारंटी पूरी होने का इंतजार कर रहे हैं। वादे किया कुछ नहीं। राजस्थान के लोग भी कांग्रेस की गारंटी पर आज आंदोलन कर रहे। भाई क्या हुआ, सरकार का 4 साल बीत चुका, अभी तक गारंटी ही रह गई। कांग्रेस मतलब झूठ की गारंटी, कांग्रेस मतलब भ्रष्टाचार की गारंटी, कांग्रेस मतलब भाई भतीजावाद की गारंटी। कांग्रेस अब उस स्थिति में है जब वो ना कोई सच्ची गारंटी दे सकती है, और आपको तो मालूम है मेरे नौजवान दोस्तों, कांग्रेस की वारंटी तो बहुत पहले ही एक्सपायर हो चुकी है। जिसकी वारंटी एक्सपायर हो चुकी है उसकी गारंटी का मतलब क्या है जी?
Let's expand this conversation. Joining me to speak more on this, Bhaskar Hegde, who's editor of TV9 Kannada Digital, and Roja Kandat, who's a senior journalist, who's also joining us, and Vijay Grover, senior journalist and political analyst, is joining us. Very warm welcome to both of you. First to Vijay. Vijay, good to see you. I want to ask you that there is this survey which was conducted by TV9 Kannada and See Voter, and it threw up some very interesting things, One of them being that the double engine ki sarkar, the entire concept, was not something that the people were really attracted to, Vijay Grover. I mean, what are you hearing on the ground? Because a concept may succeed in certain states and perhaps come a cropper in others, Vijay.
Good afternoon, Sudha. For mind, when a party claims the double engine sarkar or the double engine government concept, it is practically, if you look at it from technical point of view, it is hijacking the voters' mind, or trying to say that, if you want the benefits of the center, then you bring the same party to the state. That is something which is the indirect message which is going across by this kind of a statement. Now, the question that comes to mind is, will the people be deprived? And this was a question which was very aptly raised by the opposition, that people will lose out or the people will suffer, because these were the kind of statements which came that if they do not elect a BJP government, the people of Karnataka will be denied the benefits of the central schemes. So that raises questions at whether it is trying to shift the focus or the voters' mind by this kind of platform. Now, if you were to look at, the kind of shift that has come as far as governance is concerned in the last couple of years, one of the things is that the direct role of the center has increased. Instead of a federal state, which we were till a few years back, we're now at a system where the central government takes more prominence on several matters, and the state is left or relegated to the junior role, like even in the issue of health. We saw this during COVID management, where the center decided which state will get how many vaccines. The center decided which state will get what as far as COVID relief is concerned. So these kind of things were okay at that time. During emergencies, a different thing. But to say that we would be depriving voters if they don't elect a BJP government certainly raises questions, and that's what the opposition is also asking, as to under what privileges is the center sending this kind of indirect message.
Let me bring you in, Bhaskar. This survey, like I said, carried out under your team and also by C Voter has thrown up, it's actually exploding many myths, Bhaskar. What we would have taken as gospel truth, every time the people of this country, they decide that if you think something is true, they will overturn it. So, full of surprises. Now, Vijay Grover says, double engine ki sarkar, I mean, if the same government is at the center and also at the state, then you get a lot of benefits. Do you think it is only that? Because in Karnataka, after all, it was BJP, right? Why is it, you think, that the people of Karnataka or those you sample are not very enthused by the DE concept, as it were, Bhaskar?
Sudha, the survey has, as you rightly pointed out, has thrown up many interesting facts. In fact, that's one of the factors about this, the demystifying the concept of double engine concept. So why I think is there are 2 or 3 very important points. To add to Vijay's points, see, there is one of the sad stories of Karnataka is the bureaucracy.
Oh.
If you see the bureaucracy in Karnataka, just like a political parties, bureaucracy is also driven with caste and so many factions in Karnataka, number one. Number two, and many bureaucrats, both serving and retired. Some of them are retired yesterday and they joined political parties today. This is the kind of culture we see in Karnataka. This clearly shows the bureaucracy in Karnataka is not living up to the standard, number one. Number two, when it comes to implementation or inventing or reinventing the wheel, the bureaucracy has failed the stage. Number one. The very interesting factor is the political masters, no matter which party they belong to, bureaucracy dominate Karnataka's government. In a sense, this bureaucratic red tapeism, the delay, and there are so many issues, the rules and regulations, which basically throw bottlenecks into the implementation of various schemes. So as a result, Karnataka could not match on many of the national schemes, averages.
Right. Roja is also joining us. Hi, Roja. Roja, I want to ask you this survey that we did, as in TV9 Kannada and C Voter, like we were discussing, it's actually exploded many myths. Like it, I'm saying that it is it's not very unusual because people change, their demographics change, etc., etc. Do you think that what is taken to be gospel truth, like double engine ki sarkar, which gender will vote more, which gender will vote less, etc., etc., this time the people of Karnataka are going to surprise the nation? You think there is going to be a major change in the way they think, Roja?
Yeah, I think it looks like that on the ground. It doesn't look like traditional parties which earlier one would come. The situation on the ground, when I talk to the common man, it looks like people want a new party.
Okay.
They are not very happy with all the tried and tested parties, and it's got nothing to do with double engine, single engine. I think all of them are corrupt and all of them are not worth writing home with. But people are frustrated because government work is delayed. There is so much of red tapeism. Even an influential person like me cannot get my work done. People are not scared of the media. People are not scared of anybody. There is so much of corruption. I think some people want a change.
What is this, Roja? We people in the media don't scare anyone, yaar. I mean, the way you said they are not scared. Of course, they will give you way if you are a media person, but all that has changed, Roja. Now it depends how close you are to the dispensation. Anyway, that's another conversation. Let me go to Vijay Grover. Vijay, you know, recently there was a report put out by the Niti Aayog and others also, where unfortunately Karnataka was really bottom of the half. In what? GDP is increased, tick, very good. But when it came to other parameters, you know, education, how many women have gone to school? Very bad. Women who've been married before 18, very bad. Wasted children, malnourished children, sanitation, environmental, everything is really so at the bottom that I find it very strange that a state which is so good when it comes to the GDP is really doing very badly on all other, you know, parameters. You think the people have felt it? Because I'm not saying they may articulate it, but I'm sure they have felt it somewhere, and therefore the, you know, saying, crossing off all these old myths, ye sarkar, double engine, etc.
Well, Sudha, you actually hit the nail on the head. If you were to just take one case of malnutrition, and Bhaskar will understand better, because, you know, the last 15-20 years, whenever we discuss of Raichur district, we talk of, you know, malnourished children over there, and, you know, the kind of infant deaths. These are the kind of, I mean, I'm surprised, you know, that we talk of, you know, sending manned mission to moon and, you know, to space and everything. But what we do not talk about is the fact that we are not able to supply basic essential food commodities to rural hinterlands. And, you know, while Karnataka is very rich as far as, you know, per capita income is concerned, the GDP is good. We are actually maybe double or triple of what Uttar Pradesh or Bihar are. But the fact is, we have the pockets where reach of development has not happened even after so many years. And where is this concept? You know, the fact, I was just saying that so many people are not even commenting. About 21% of the people have said they cannot say, is because maybe they're a little hesitant to talk about the issues. But I would consider them in the no category only, because, you know, this is something where if there were effective implementation of all the projects, be it health, be it sanitation, be it drinking water, we have not seen these happen in a lot of areas. So much so that even in Bangalore, where we are talking of Kaveri stage 4, or we are talking of, you know, Kaveri stage 5, 6 plants being drawn, but a lot of people do not even have access to potable water, even in an urban city, and they have to buy, you know, packaged water. So this is something where governments have to focus on basic needs of people, and that is where the real development actually comes from. And what you mentioned, the dichotomy between high GDP and, you know, the lack of growth, and you know, Devdasi tradition still continuing in several areas, or, you know,
Right.
maybe, you know, crime against women. All these things do not match up, and clearly shows that the governance needs to be strengthened and has to be more pro-people than it is at the moment.
Right. Bhaskar, let me now shift my focus on another aspect, and which was brought in by which, you know, came up in the survey conducted by TV9 Kannada and C Voter. That is, almost nearly both genders, male and female, want a change. Now, if you look at the last elections, it was said that the women preferred the Congress government to come back. And correct me if I am wrong, Bhaskar, women are they around 48-49% of the population, and is it true? But this time around, do you think it is something very new? Both men and women, they want a change.
Sudha, they're absolutely right. What you said is absolutely right. It's around 48-49% of women in the total population. But now the interesting factor is when you see this, particularly the women, female respondents giving the performance rating and the male respondents giving the performance ratings, it's almost similar. But I have a kind of caveat here. But when you come to convert this into voting in the last, finally on 10th of next month, how many people among these kind of surveys, who participate in surveys, they generally go for their conscience, they listen to their conscience and vote for a very good candidate. So what happens here in Karnataka, one of the few states in India which is a very high caste conscious and caste-driven politics. Be it politics, be it religious muds and temples and so many issues, you see the caste playing a very dominant role. It's nothing wrong if caste plays a dominant role in educating people on certain issues, like as Vijay pointed out about the malnourishment or attack on women, on so many other issues. But when it comes to people using caste as a tool to divert the attention or mobilize people in favor of some kind of not only kind of people who are not performed well, even for in favor of some of the antisocial elements who contest the election. So that's why sometimes I also feel very depressed and dejected when these kind of surveys come up with these results, and finally when we see the result, this doesn't match the final result of the elections.
Yeah, Roja, like what Bhaskar, my colleague, said, it's very disappointing that finally it doesn't match. But the point is, the other day, we had Yashwant Deshmukh of Sea Voter, and he said a very prescient thing. He said, the Congress is on a good wicket as long as they do not go and do something or say something which will ruin it for them. And bang on, you had Khargeji with the poisonous snake comment. Do you think these last-minute boo-boos really impact the voters? Will they take it to heart? Suppose I've made up my mind, that I will vote for X party. But when some politician speaks like this, how much does it matter? Because I know Karnataka is as emotional as the neighboring South Indian states.
No, actually, surprisingly, these things do matter the last minute. Because we've done on-field reporting, and that last biryani packet you get or that last juice bottle you receive does make a difference. Because sometimes the common voter is not the intelligentsia of 1% who contributes to TRP or records your development work. So I think particularly during this campaign season, the kind of statements that are made and the kind of impact that you make really makes a difference, Sudha.
Right. Vijay, I want to ask you, when we were covering elections, then it used to be issue-based. Remember, I mean, when we were reporting and we would go, let's say, यहाँ पे बिजली पानी नहीं है, खाना नहीं मिलता, or there have been so many deaths of one particular community, all that changed. Now it's all personality-driven. You could not have done anything. Karnataka elections this time, Vijay, is around personalities, or you think, no, it is still on issues?
Well, see, Sudha, as far as the Congress is concerned, till yesterday it was trying to keep the campaign on local issues, on the failures of the government, the corruption issue which has dogged the Bombay Sarkar from the 40% commission days onwards. But yesterday, Khargeji's statement has changed a lot of it, because the BJP wanted to build that narrative in terms of personality. And it knows that, when it comes to Modi versus Rahul or Modi versus Kharge, Modi will win hands-on. That is something where, the BJP is also banking that starting tomorrow, when Prime Minister Modi takes on the campaign for the next 7 days, he is going to sweep opponents. Because, the kind of strategy that has been planned, certainly the comment by Mr. Kharge is going to become the weapon that they had been waiting for to demolish the opposition. Unfortunately for BJP today, Mr. Yatnal's statement of calling Sonia Gandhi Vishkanya, that is something again which has to some extent neutralized the kind of venomous attacks on each other. But clearly personality is something where it does make a difference when Parliament comes, because there they know that people of Karnataka have voted very differently between 2013 and 2014 or 2018 and 2019, because there they knew that the Congress could not offer that kind of alternative to the BJP at the center. But in the states they feel that there is a vacuum which the Congress can fill up. So that's the reason why most of the surveys are also showing the tilt in favor of the Congress as far as the opinion is concerned. But clearly assembly elections are more local issues based. We've seen Mahadevpura where the party like BJP, which had a very influential MLA, had to withdraw from the race, and they had to put his wife because the voters were very unhappy about the kind of flooding that Bengaluru saw. So these issues do matter as far as local level is concerned. But as Bhaskar very rightly said, that caste is a very, very key element. And what we gather from the ground that, to some extent, caste influences do make a big difference, because then the party does, or the people don't see the candidate, they only see the caste that he belongs to or the caste that the party supports. So like as far as the BJP was concerned, the Lingayats for Lingayats it's the preferred party which it wants to bring to power, because it feels otherwise it would be left out of development in the next 5 years. The Vokalika similarly rally behind H.T. Kumar Swamy or D.K. Shiv Kumar, but these are things which people need to get out of, if they want a development in their constituencies. Because if they feel that if they're not electing a good candidate, they cannot expect development in their constituencies.
Right. So, Bhaskar, what, Vijay said, I want to ask you that if caste is the only and most important component, in most of the constituencies across country, but I'm saying about Karnataka, then what happens to all these questions about double engine sarkara not working for us, so and so not working, anti-incumbency. How does one make sense then of an election? Suppose there is someone who's completely undecided, Bhaskar. What does he or she do then? If caste is the only thing, and suppose I don't believe in caste.
Sudha, you are right. I think in many places, caste may not play a role, but there are three major communities, you say. One is, as Vijay pointed out, Lingayats and Vakkaligas and Kurubas, and of course Muslims. These are the four communities which generally the political parties, they categorize and they identify whether the voter be from this particular community and particular caste vote for that particular party or not, we don't know. But political parties categorize these communities and castes into different buckets. Okay, Lingayats are basically associated with BJP, and Vakkaligas are basically large number of Vakkaligas associated with JDS, and Kurubas of course with Siddaramaiah, and Muslims general understanding is they go with Congress. This kind of understanding, and basically of course it will certainly have a kind of bearing on the outcome of the election, number one, and of course the post-election developmental model, whichever the party comes to power, they'll adopt. Because see what happens, the moment one particular community rallies behind a party, that particular party, if it comes to power, they have to protect the interest of its leaders and the pontiffs and common people. Even if they commit crime, small petty crimes to the big crime, the government, the party in power, they have to go to a long distance to cover and help the particular community leaders and the pontiffs and so many people. This in turn actually kind of doing a disservice to the state. This is what actually happening in many states, including Karnataka. So what you said about caste is, now see, okay, the other point is, which I want to add, if caste is not playing a role, as Roja mentioned, then there is of course freebies and there are a lot of money being exchanged. So that will certainly play a role in election.
That's
and
right.
Even post-election also.
Right. That's a very, that was my next question, and to Roja. Roja, freebies announced by the Congress party, matched by the JDS, matched by several other parties. What impact does it have? Because there has been a major debate about freebies in neighboring Tamil Nadu also. That says it's a welfare state. We will give it, So every election, everyone gets a sari and a veshti and of course other things which are unmentionable on national television and any platform. But the point is, in Karnataka, will the freebies have an impact on the way voting is done?
Yes, of course, it will have a big role to play, particularly if I don't have a cooker at home and if I'm given a pressure cooker last evening, or if I get a particular, of course it makes an impact, and let us be rational about these things. See, the 1% intelligentsia like me might say, okay, one particular party is good because they have 20 women candidates, or another side of me might tell that my local MLA has done good work for me, so I will continue to vote for him. I will not go according to a party, or I will not go according to a caste. and probably, people like me might not get the pressure cooker and the sari. But at the lower level, we have seen it. When I was covering elections during SM Krishna's leadership, I was so sure that he's going to win the elections because he had done so many things that would make Karnataka the next Singapore. But when the results came, he lost, and he lost miserably. And most of the journalists like me who covered the elections, we were in for a rude shock because on the ground there were 2 consecutive or 3 consecutive droughts, and that spoke against Krishna. So the factors that actually contribute to somebody winning or losing cannot be captured even by the so-called, the polls that are conducted, because the emotional reasons vary from region to region.
Right. Vijay, what is your take on freebies? Because, that's also a very, very important aspect of the survey that was conducted, and also generally during elections, like, we just around the corner. Do you think freebies which have been announced by the Congress, by the JDS, will it really impact the way a voter votes? Or is it caste? Freebies versus caste.
Well, Sudha, before I talk about the freebies, let me also just add in over here that in the last few weeks after the elections were announced, we have seen seizure of around 270 crore rupees worth of cash, gold, pressure cookers, etc., which were out there for distribution to prospective voters. Now, what does that show? What's first thing is that, the parties believe that by, doling out all these kind of things or gifting these kind of things, they are able to influence the voter and get their vote. They think they can buy it.
Right.
Now, that is clearly reflective of the kind of state that the democracy is being reduced to. Now, as far as the freebies is concerned, there are different ways of looking at this. I may subscribe to some of them as, because let's say a free transport for women, that is something which, cannot be considered as a freebie, but a welfare scheme, because a state like Delhi has shown that, it really does make a lot of difference to a lot of, lower middle class women who earlier maybe had to walk 1 or 2 kilometers, were able to take the free bus now. So there it's welfare. But, giving a stipend to a graduate of promising that 3,000 rupees will be given to you for 2 years, that certainly is not the kind of solution that you give to a young unemployed graduate. You rather get him a job, or do something that he's independent, rather than for 2 years is dependent on that 3,000 rupees, which may actually not make much of a difference to his life, but is a burden on the exchequer. So different schemes will have different kind of impact.
Right.
Electricity, yes, for the small poor households where 200 units or 300 units that's been promised is a different thing. Where in a slum, it may mean a lot of things, because they would be able to use gadgets and appliances without worrying about the electricity bill going up. But this is something that we need to also understand, that apart from these kind of freebies that are being promised now, there has to be a transparency as to what is actually reaching people and what is not reaching people. Because recently there have been several instances where 28, 29-year-old men have been found to be taking old age pension because they had forged documents and pensions were getting into their accounts. So this is something where clarity is required, because at the end of the day, it's your and my money which goes. No political party brings money from somewhere else and gives it to the people.
Absolutely right.
Taxpayers.
Absolutely right. Very well put. Bhaskar, I want to ask you this question as well. Freebies, free electricity, money to the female head of the family, etc., etc. Do you think freebies really will matter during this election in Karnataka?
Sudha, I think as Roja pointed out, freebies will certainly make sense in the sense it will certainly influence voters to go for a particular party X or Y or Z, number one. Number two, as far as the philosophy of freebies is concerned, I have a kind of slightly different point of view from what Vijay said. See, in Delhi, for instance, Delhi government need not have to spend money on irrigation, on various other things. See, for instance, in Tamil Nadu or in Karnataka, so the revenue we have from one side and we have commitments to irrigation projects, to health, and there are so many social issues. We have to sort it out. So in Delhi, those kind of issues are not there. So that's why Delhi government can afford to give this kind of freebies or shops. But in Karnataka or in a big state like Tamil Nadu or Karnataka or Bihar or UP, I think people and government should stop, entertaining or giving freebies, because there are two things which happened. One is we have to get money, either we have to raise the tax or we have to get it from external agencies like in World Bank or IMF to feed these kind of things, number one. Number two, what happens in the implementation of such schemes, corruption and rampant favoritism and nepotism, which you can't weed out. So as a result, such schemes basically end up being a kind of white elephant on the state exchequer than helping people to get empowered.
Right. And on that note, let me thank all of you for joining us on the debate. Vijay, Bhaskar and Roja, such a pleasure having all of you on the debate. And news and all the analysis will continue on News 9 Live. Keep watching.